In 2011, American television giant TLC rolled out a new docu-series called Extreme Couponing. The show featured stories from people, usually women, who spent most of their time figuring out how to stack coupons, sales, and rebates to achieve as much savings as possible. The highlight of each episode was the moment the couponer pushed their numerous bulging carts to the checkout lane and watched as their shopping racked up thousands of dollars. Then, the coupons. BEP. $5 gone, beep, $20 gone, on and on until the big reveal. The pinnacle of extreme couponing was when a shopper was actually given money for their transaction when their credits, points, and vouchers exceed the price of their shopping trip. At home, these extreme couponers always proudly showed off their stash, a collection of products they'd saved on by bundling deals and purchasing in bulk. Most of the best deals these couponers got were on processed foods, condiments, and toiletries, leading to a stock of supplies the average family would take years to use. And while the show was entertaining, it ran for 4 seasons, it definitely left most viewers, at least the sane ones, wondering, is 50 cents for a bottle of ketchup really a good deal if you have to purchase 30 bottles to get the discount price? Didn't they just waste $15 on ketchup they didn't even need? Good question. But the real problem runs much deeper than wasting 15 bucks on ketchup. It's the reason that so many people stay in the lower middle class or in poverty their entire lives, even after constantly being on the lookout for a bargain. And the worst part is that it rarely feels like a problem while it's happening. It feels responsible. It feels mature. It feels like you're being the kind of person who knows how to handle money. You walk out of the store thinking, look at everything I saved, when the more important question is, why did I walk into that store in the first place? Because there is a massive difference between spending less on something you were already going to buy and inventing a new reason to spend money because the store gave you a cute little discount sticker. That difference sounds small, but it can quietly shape your entire financial life. One person buys detergent on sale because they already needed detergent. Another person buys a cart full of random items because the discounts made the purchase feel smart. Those are not the same behavior. One is planning, the other is emotional spending, wearing a fake mustache and pretending to be frugality. And once you start seeing this, you notice it everywhere. People will brag about saving $70 during a weekend sale, but they won't mention that they had to spend $230 to get there. They'll say, I basically got this for free, when what they really mean is, I bought 4 things I didn't need to make the 5th thing cheaper. Retailers absolutely love this because it makes the customer feel like the winner right as the business collects the money. Today, I want to talk about sales and why buying things that are on sale will keep you poor. Buying things on sale seems like a no-brainer. You get an item you want, and you get it for a price that you're happy with. Win-win, right? Well, not exactly, because more often than not, sales convince us to buy items we don't necessarily want that much and very much don't need, like 30 bottles of ketchup. Sales promotions can even motivate people to buy beyond the products that are actually on sale. Think of how often you personally add another item to your online shopping cart to reach a minimum for free shipping, even when the shipping costs are less than the additional item. In fact, consumers are 4 to 5 times more likely to make purchases when offered free shipping. Businesses know this and use data and math to figure out how large of a bill to require for free shipping so they can maximize profits. And that free shipping example is perfect because nobody thinks of it as a sale in the traditional sense. There's no giant red sticker, there's no coupon code, there's no clerk saying, you're saving money today. But psychologically, it hits the exact same part of the brain. The website gives you a target, you start treating that target like a game, and suddenly the goal is not to spend the least amount possible. The goal is to win free shipping. That is how a $38 purchase becomes a $55 purchase. And what makes it even funnier is that the shipping might have only been $6.99. So the person spends an extra $17 to avoid paying $6.99 and somehow still feels like they beat the system. That is not stupidity, that is marketing. And it works because the loss of paying for shipping feels more painful than the loss of buying something extra. Shipping feels like wasted money. The extra item feels like a reward. Same wallet, completely different emotion. So why are we so willing to part with our money when we see a sale? Because discounts create happiness. A study conducted by Claremont Graduate University found that anytime customers are offered the opportunity to save more money than the perceived worth of a product, they experience a boost in oxytocin levels. And when a product makes you feel happy, you're more likely to bring it home with you, even if you didn't even know it existed before seeing it in a store. This is why the "I was just looking" shopping trip is so dangerous. You might not have left your house with any real desire for a candle warmer, a novelty mug, a seasonal throw blanket, or a Bluetooth meat thermometer. But the second your brain sees the little crossed out price, it starts building a story. Maybe I could use that. Maybe this would be good to have. Maybe I should get it now, because later it will be full price. And notice the word maybe. That word is where money disappears. People rarely go broke from buying one necessary thing at a fair price. They go broke, or at least stay stuck, from thousands of little maybes. Maybe I need this, maybe I'll wear it. Maybe it'll be useful. Maybe I'll regret not buying it. Maybe I can gift it. Maybe I can return it. Maybe, maybe, maybe. The sale turns uncertainty into action. Studies also have shown that offering a discount discourages customers from trying to find the same product somewhere else. So, let's say you know you'll need a new pair of gloves for the winter, and you stumble across some at a sale for a discounted price. Even if you don't know if they are the best deal, or even if you don't like the color, you're more likely to purchase them than continuing to shop around or waiting until later in the season. Why? Because discounts create a sense of urgency. Capitalism loves scarcity, both real and fabricated, and discounts play into that. Plus, psychology today says that anticipatory regret, or the regret of missing out on a deal that would have benefited you, drives urgency in shopping sales. And that anticipated regret is powerful because it makes the future version of you seem disappointed before anything has even happened. You imagine yourself 2 weeks from now realizing you missed out, and that imagined regret starts pushing you around in the present. Retailers don't need you to love the product. They just need you to fear losing the deal. That's why limited time sales often feel more urgent than actual important financial decisions. People will spend 30 minutes debating whether to put extra money into an investment account, but they'll panic buy shoes in 3 minutes because a banner says sale ends tonight. Nobody wants to feel like the person who waited too long. Nobody wants to feel like the deal slipped away. And when that emotion takes over, the practical question gets buried. Would I buy this if it were full price? So we're browsing a clothing sale for an item we need, like a new pair of jeans, and we spot discounts on other items that we don't necessarily need right now, but could need, and feel that if we don't buy them right now, while they are on sale, we may regret it 2 months later when we find a hole in our favorite sweater. The pull of the sales call is so strong, it can even result in us purchasing items we don't really like that much. We tell ourselves the discount outweighs the fact that it's not our taste, or that we'll tuck it away to gift to someone else, or resell it later on. Are we really so weak-minded as humans that we crumble in the face of every sales sign and begin snatching up mediocre items just because they're on sale? Well, kind of, but it's a lot deeper than you might realize. Because the real issue is not that shoppers are dumb. The real issue is that the modern retail environment is smarter than we give it credit for. Every shelf, every banner, every app notification, every countdown timer, every recommended for you section is there to move you 1 inch closer to spending. You are not just making a purchase decision in a neutral room. You are making that decision inside a machine built to turn attention into revenue. And when you understand that, you stop taking it personally. The goal is not to shame yourself for ever buying something on sale. Everybody has done it. The goal is to understand the game well enough that you don't confuse playing along with getting ahead. It all comes down to consumer psychology. Consumers often think that shopping sales is one of the best ways to save money. And it's no mistake that we think this way. Retail is designed that way. Neuromarketing researchers have been studying the phenomenon of sales and discounts for decades, and their work provides insight into the subconscious decision-making processes consumers use when they're deciding what to buy. They've come up with 8 strategies used by brands that are built on psychology principles to drive sales. Let's take a look. And as we go through these, I want you to think about the last thing you bought that was on sale. Not groceries you truly needed, not medicine, not a replacement part for something broken. I mean the fun stuff. Clothes, electronics, home decor, gadgets, beauty products, online courses, random Amazon finds, whatever it is. Ask yourself how many of these tricks were quietly involved in that purchase. Because once you see them in real life, they become almost impossible to unsee. First, the rule of 100 explains that consumers tend to determine if deals are worth a buy based on their relationship to 100. A percentage discount is more appealing to consumers for items under $100. For example, a discount of 10% off a $50 item is more likely to result in a sale than $5 off the same item, even though they are identical discounts. On the other hand, a dollar off discount works better on items priced above $100. For a $1,000 item, consumers are more likely to buy when they receive a $200 off discount versus a 20% discount. Think about this for a second. Do you think this applies to you? Does $200 off a $1,000 TV sound more appealing to you than saying 20% off? Let me know in the comments. I'm kind of curious to see if this research is actually true. The funny thing is, the actual savings do not change at all. The only thing that changes is the packaging of the discount. But that packaging matters because most people are not walking around with a calculator trying to optimize every purchase. They are reacting quickly. They are scanning, they are feeling, they are making a decision in 5 seconds while music is playing in the store and somebody is standing behind them in the aisle. So retailers choose the version of the discount that feels bigger, not necessarily the version that communicates the math most clearly. The second psychological strategy that retailers use to get us to buy is not discounting anything, like ever. Notice how luxury retailers never offer sales on their signature items? Good luck finding a Louis Vuitton tote on sale or a Tiffany diamond ring listed in the Black Friday shopping guide. That's because sales can hurt the perceived value of the product. It's hard to convince consumers that a purse is worth $3,000 if you can get it for $1,500 twice a year. Conversely, this principle explains why we're willing to believe that a non-luxury item, like a basic pair of jeans, could be valued at over $100 when we find them on sale for $75. This is called anchoring. The first number you see becomes the reference point in your head. If the tag says $120 and the sale price is $75, your brain compares $75 to $120, not $75 to the actual value of the jeans. Maybe the jeans were never really worth $120. Maybe the store knew from the beginning that most people would buy them around $75, but the higher number makes the lower number feel like a victory. That is why outlet malls can be so dangerous. You walk in thinking everything is a bargain because every tag looks like it has been dramatically reduced. But sometimes the product was made specifically for the outlet, at a different quality level, with a price tag designed to create the feeling of a discount. The whole experience is built around the idea that you are getting access to a secret deal, when really you are just shopping inside a very well-designed sales funnel. Next up in the retailer's bag of tricks is playing on that sense of scarcity and urgency I mentioned earlier. It's FOMO for shopping. Retailers use tricks like flash sales to convince shoppers to buy right away and present the deal as so good it can only be offered for a short period of time. Low stock or limited inventory sales function similarly by making consumers believe there is a shortage of a particular item. They're afraid of it running out before they can do any comparison shopping or think about it for too long, so they make the purchase. The last thing retailers want is for customers to think about what they buy. A combination of the two, like a flash sale of close-out items, is the pinnacle of using FOMO to drive purchasing. And online shopping has made this even more intense. Now the pressure follows you around. You can close the tab, and 10 minutes later, the item is in an ad on another website. You can leave something in your cart, and suddenly you get an email saying, "Still thinking it over?" The retailer wants to turn a moment of hesitation into a moment of action. They know that if you walk away long enough, the emotional heat cools down. You might realize you do not need the item. You might compare prices. You might forget about it completely. So they keep nudging you while the desire is still warm. The fourth way we are tricked into buying things on sale is through font sizing. Yes, even something as simple as the size of a font is shown to have a psychological effect on us. According to research, font size has the power to make a deal feel bigger or smaller in the eyes of a consumer. Researchers say a sales price printed in a small font makes the consumer feel as though they're paying less for the item. Discounts printed in large font make the deal seem even bigger. It's the reason you usually have to hunt for the actual sales price on the tiny tag, while the discount is usually displayed in large text all over the store. This is also why sale signs are usually so visually loud. Red tags, yellow stickers, giant percentages, big arrows, bold letters, all of it is designed to interrupt your brain. A quiet little price tag asks you to evaluate. A huge sale sign asks you to react. There is a reason the biggest number in the room is often the discount, not the final price. Next, let's talk math. Here's the bottom line. People don't like to do it. Psychological research shows that whether consumers can quickly and easily calculate their final price plays a big role in if they are motivated to buy. Studies have shown that people don't like sales where they have to perform complex calculations, that discounts that are easy to calculate are perceived as bigger, and the simpler you make the discount offer, the bigger return you'll see. Let's say a $20 item is reduced to $15. People can quickly see that they will save $5. But if an item is priced at $54.99 and is on sale for $41.24, people won't see their savings as easily, even though both items are 25% off. And the customer will be less likely to buy the product that makes them do math. This is why buy two, get 140% off works so well. It sounds like a deal, but most people do not stop to figure out the actual discount across all three items. They just know something is cheaper, and the store has given them permission to buy more. Same with spend $100, get $20 back. You are not saving $20 if you only needed $60 worth of stuff. You are spending an extra $40 to unlock a future reason to come back and spend again. The easier the deal is to understand, the more powerful it feels. But sometimes the complicated deals are even better for stores, because the confusion itself keeps people from noticing how weak the discount really is. If the customer needs a spreadsheet to figure out whether the sale is good, the sale is probably not for the customer. It is for the business. The sixth way retailers use psychological tricks to get us to spend on sales is through choosing specific digits in their pricing. Research shows that consumers are more likely to buy items with a price tag ending in 0.99 than they are when it ends in 0.00. Our brains perceive prices as lower when they come in slightly below that whole dollar amount. That's why you'll almost exclusively see sales items priced to end in the 90 to 99-cent range. A $19.99 item is basically $20. Everybody knows that, and yet it still feels cheaper than $20. That tiny 1-cent difference is not there because the store cares about giving you a penny. It is there because your brain reads from left to right and locks onto the first number. 19 feels meaningfully different from 20, even when the difference is almost nothing. Next, let's talk about monthly payments. I'm sure if you take a look at how many monthly subscriptions you pay for, even just for streaming video content, you'll see how easy it is to fall prey to the monthly price trick. Good news for you is that YouTube videos can still be watched for free, so you might as well subscribe to my channel for useful financial videos just like this. Monthly pricing is one of the cleanest examples of making something feel smaller than it really is. A $29 monthly subscription sounds harmless. A $348 yearly bill sounds like something you might question. A $7 app here, a $12 service there, a $19 tool for something you barely use, and suddenly your small monthly payments are eating the money you thought you did not have. Even though many monthly subscription products offer a steep discount for buying an entire year up front, people are still drawn to monthly payments, and those who pay monthly are more likely to renew their subscriptions than those who pay up front. Why? Because they continue to attach value to the investment. Watching $10 a month worth of ad-free sumo wrestling seems more plausible than watching $120 worth in a year. And monthly payments also hide opportunity cost. The question is not just, can I afford $10? Most people can afford $10. The better question is, do I want this enough to make it part of my permanent lifestyle? Because that is what a subscription does. It turns a one-time choice into a recurring leak. And when enough leaks show up, the financial boat starts sinking, even if each individual hole looks tiny. Last but certainly not least, we have the freebies. Dr. Alan Sampson, founder of behavioral economics, says that shoppers don't think in rational and linear terms when presented with percentages and prices. For example, they view 50% more of something as better than saving 33%, even though the deal works out the same mathematically. So when a $1 item drops to $0, people react differently than if that same item drops from $2 to $1, even though it's the same $1 discount. Dr. Sampson believes there is an emotional reaction to the number 0 that other discounts just can't achieve. That's why so many brands offer free extras with your purchase, or run buy one get one free sales. The word free is dangerous because it makes people stop comparing. If something is free, we feel like we cannot lose. But you absolutely can lose if you had to buy something unnecessary to get it. A free tote bag is not free if you spent $80 more than planned to qualify for it. A free dessert is not free if it convinced you to choose a restaurant you did not want. A free trial is not free if you forget to cancel and pay for 3 months. This does not mean every free bonus is bad. It just means free should not turn your brain off. Sometimes free is genuinely useful. Other times free is bait with better branding. Okay, so we buy some stuff we don't need. We get tricked into believing that discounts are bigger than they are, and we end up with some ugly sweaters or 5 extra phone chargers as a result. Being a bargain hunter can't have that much of an overall effect on our finances though, right? Wrong, because you're wasting more than just money when you dive into frugality. Finding discounts is addictive because it gives us dopamine hit each time. The bigger the savings, the bigger the belief we've accomplished something great, and all that searching for deals, the comparison shopping, the hours spent digging through boxes of coupons has another effect. It shifts our attention away from making money and focuses it exclusively on saving money. It doesn't really matter how much money you save on TVs and jeans, because no matter the discount you snag, you're not doing anything to increase your income. Same paycheck, same life. You're not going to coupon your way to financial freedom. A far better approach to building wealth is to streamline and automate your consumption habits as much as possible. This is where a lot of personal finance advice gets it backwards. People are told to obsess over tiny savings because it feels actionable. Cut this coupon, compare that price, drive to 3 stores, wait for this sale, use this browser extension. And yes, technically that can save money, but the question is not whether it saves money. The question is whether it is the best use of your limited attention. Because attention is the real currency here. You only have so much focus in a day. If all of it is spent trying to shave $3 off your grocery bill, there is not much energy left to learn a higher income skill, apply for a better job, start a side business, negotiate your salary, build an audience, or invest consistently. Saving money has a ceiling. Earning money does not have the same ceiling. That does not mean you should spend like an idiot. It means you should stop treating bargain hunting like a wealth strategy. It is not. At best, it is a defensive move. Wealth is built by increasing the gap between what you earn and what you spend, then putting that gap into assets. Sales only attack one tiny piece of that equation, and often they do it badly because they increase spending while pretending to reduce it. Buy new clothes twice a year from one or two of your favorite stores. Then you'll have a much clearer, consistent picture of your spending habits and will eliminate all the hassles of shopping sales. No driving around wasting gas and time to check if the other location has it for cheaper. No more clipping coupons, or if you're a bit more tech savvy, finding coupons and discount codes on apps like Honey. You'll free up time and space for yourself to focus on building income streams. And with keeping your spending relatively predictable, you'll be able to see how much increasing your income will impact your life. For example, imagine two people. One spends 5 hours a week hunting for discounts and saves $40. The other spends those 5 hours learning a skill that eventually helps them earn an extra $500 a month. At first, the coupon person looks smarter because the savings are immediate. But over time, the income person pulls ahead. Not because they are morally better, not because they never buy things on sale, but because they use their attention to raise their earning power instead of treating every shopping trip like a full-time job. This is the part that sounds simple, but changes everything. You cannot cut your way to a bigger life. You can cut waste, sure. You can avoid dumb purchases. You can build good habits. But at some point, the question has to shift from how do I spend less to how do I become the kind of person who earns more? That shift is uncomfortable because saving feels safer. Earning more requires risk, rejection, learning, and sometimes looking foolish at the beginning. But it is also where the upside is. I have only one small caveat. There is one situation in which you should shop sales. That is when you are purchasing a big-ticket necessity that has a predictable sales cycle. Things like appliances, furniture, and expensive technology items retain their value year-round and can typically be purchased for a steep discount during certain seasons. So, if your fridge is on its last leg, it may be worth it to keep an eye on sales. The key words there are necessity and predictable. If you know you need a replacement and you know the item usually gets discounted at a certain time, waiting can be smart. That is not the same as wandering into a sale and convincing yourself you suddenly need a new espresso machine because it is 30% off. One version starts with a need and then searches for a better price. The other starts with a discount and then invents a need. So here is a simple test. Before buying anything on sale, ask, would I still want this if there were no discount? If the answer is no, the sale is probably the product, not the thing itself. The emotion of getting a deal is what you are really buying, and that emotion fades a lot faster than the credit card charge. Another useful rule is to separate planned purchases from impulse purchases. A planned purchase is something you identified before the sale appeared. You knew you needed it. You researched it. You had a budget for it. A sale simply made the timing better. An impulse purchase is something the sale introduced to you. You did not want it yesterday. You may not want it tomorrow. But right now, under the bright lights of a limited time offer, it feels weirdly important. That one distinction can save you thousands of dollars over time. Not because you will never buy fun things again, but because you will stop letting retailers decide what becomes important in your life. Alright friends, I hope you've learned why buying things on sale is hurting your finances more than helping them. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a thumbs up so more people can find it and save their money. Or better yet, so more people can grow their money. The goal is not to become cheap. Being cheap is a miserable way of living. Cheap turns every dollar into a source of stress. The goal is to become intentional. Buy what you actually value. Skip what you only want because a store told you it was a deal. Spend proudly on the things that improve your life, and stop leaking money into random bargains that make you feel smart for 10 minutes and clutter your home for 2 years. Because we truly live in a time when it's easier than ever to get rich. There are so many ways to invest, and even more ways to earn passive income. Now go watch one of these videos, you'll love them.